everybody. Cameron, moneywarinvesting.com here with Van. Today we're going to go over some technical analysis on Bitcoin. It's not looking good from what's Van saying to me here. We're going into the week of June 7th. Today's the 5th. Let's take it away, Van.
Right. Now, it depends on how you look at it as to whether it's how it's looking good or bad. Buying opportunities might be looking good. Opportunities to lose money if you are bought at the top might be bad. Let's take a look at the monthly chart here. Clearly, we're seeing a downturn in the market. Whether or not we found support, we're going to kind of get into that. Taking a look at a few things on the indicators here. This is our RSI, okay, and this is our DMI, Directional Movement Index, ADX, and DI. And what we're seeing here on the monthly here is that we are still bullish on our trend. So we are still on a bullish trend on the monthly time frame. We've seen this pullback, but the RSI is actually finding support at the 618 level, and it's still above the 50, 55. I've got a 48, 52 range, but anything kind of above this is still considered bullish. So on the monthly chart, not too terribly concerned as far as whether or not we've entered into a bear market. Still looking bullish as far as that goes. So long term, still bullish for sure. On a weekly chart, I've got a little bit of a different story and some potential here. So what we do have here is a break below our 50 RSI. Okay. We've got, I like to call these little like prayer hands on the directional movement index, or DI plus DI minus. And this is kind of a trend indicator, right? And you can see they've got like the hands are together where they're right at 20, indicating kind of like neutral movement and which way it's going to go. The ADX is showing a decreasing trend of some sort. So this may be, we're not really sure essentially where we're going on the weekly, and we seem to have found support like 44, 43 on our RSI. So there is potential for us to reverse and start moving back up. Also, we're seeing this divergence here. If you want to look at this and take this into consideration, let me just draw this here from our previous break of our 50. So our low right here, okay, to where we're at currently, we are making higher lows, right? Whereas on the RSI, it's clearly making lower lows. So this divergence could potentially indicate that we're going to continue our bullish trend. And again, if we're looking on the monthly, that does appear to be the case, that we will long-term continue to move up. Now, the question is on the daily, whether or not we are going to pull back even farther a little bit before we continue that move up. Okay, and I know one of the things that you said you kind of wanted to cover and take a look at was bear flags and bull flags or pennants. And so, right now it appears that we're actually filling one out. Okay, and what this is a it's an area where price is finding support and then consolidates right before making some move. And it's pretty clear, I think, right now, if we're looking at this, and let me just kind of click this into here.
It looks like it's right on the bottom channel there.
Right, and so you could draw it like this. I think I would have a tendency currently to kind of, and if we were to take this on a 4-hour chart, we'd probably find a few more areas to look at something like this. Okay, where it's like an ascending triangle like that. And these have a tendency to break low. Okay, you see this descending triangle, in comparison, and this bullish move up here, right, where our price action was making lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs before it broke up and continued on its trend upward. But what you see here, right, is that we were in this very bullish trend, pulled back, found some support on our RSI, and then moved back up. And what I found, and why I actually have this indicator created the way I have it with the Fibonacci levels on the RSI, is it breaks of our 618 RSI and 5618 and then moves in this region are pretty bullish, right? And you can see that a break of that area right here corresponded roughly with a break of this triangle that we had been making when we're consolidating here. And then of course we moved up and then we've since moved down, but we are now below our 50 on the daily. And we are actually in a bearish range right here on the daily, okay? And so when I look at this on the daily and whether or not we could potentially move down more, and given this triangle, what we're seeing here is this divergence here, okay? At least what I'm seeing. And so this is an indication that we're, I think we're more likely to break low than we are to break high. Now, that's not to say we can't go up from here. You most certainly can. But given this kind of divergence here, we're making lower highs and we are making higher highs on our RSI. This is a bearish indication to me. We may see another little push up here and retest of some region, maybe 37, 38, all the way up to 40, and a rejection. But clearly, we need to see a nice solid daily close above 40, preferably above 45, to really, as confirmation that we're going to continue, upward. Okay. Short of that, what we need to be watching for here, and in the same way, and I've spoken this, about this before on my streams on here as well, I believe, is that 618 break generally sees it's corresponding with a break of a previous area of resistance. Now, a break of this 382 on the opposite end here, right? And you can see it here, generally corresponds with the break of an area of support, okay? As it moves into this lower red region on the RSI between 382 and 236 on our fib retracement on the RSI. So if we do break low on the daily here, which it appears like we may be, and we move into this red region again, the chance, I think, for us to break out of this triangle and make, maybe not lower lows, but certainly have the potential to retest 30 again, and is there. Now, I'm seeing kind of across the board, people are looking at this as a potential kind of like big head and shoulders pattern, possibly. That was kind of poorly drawn, but you can kind of see it. That may be true. Maybe if we look at this on a linear chart, I don't know. This is really choppy, a really choppy head, but certainly it has kind of the we have our neckline right around here at 30. Okay, and then you have your left shoulder, your head here, and then what could potentially be a right shoulder. So if that were to potentially fill out as that, we would be looking for a break of this 30,000, which I think is pretty clearly just intuitively, if you're looking at this, where we need to see support on this chart, right? But a break out of this ascending triangle here, we need to find support at 30. Now, I guess
looks like there's pretty good support there.
There is, absolutely. But if you recall back here, and 2018, say 18 here, this looked like a fantastic level of support too, right? And we had tested this multiple times, and it just kind of trickled out. It's like a bouncing ball, right? It broke out of here, bounced up real high, bounce, roll, and then just kind of like fell off a cliff, right? And so, clearly the potential for these areas of support, and there was a lot of anticipation here, especially if you're looking at like our indicators where we had broken above 50 here in this region. There's a lot of, I remember this, anticipation for a move up. I was kind of honestly considering a move up as well, but we knew that this area of support here at 6,000 was crucial, right? And when it just really smashed through that here, we continued to move down, and we ultimately found support down here at 35-ish, roughly around there. So, and then, this this is what I'm really keeping my eyes peeled for, to be honest. And let me kind of get rid of some of these brush strokes here, is something like this, right? This here, divergence, was kind of indication of bottom for me, right? And then when we broke above this, right, again, above that 382, and we held that support ever since, essentially. You know, we had continued to move up on a higher time frame, you can kind of see, but that was a clear indication of bottom, was this divergence, okay? And I'm looking for that now, as far as, you know, when we're moving down. And you can see, if we're going back here, and you know, historical price movement in action doesn't necessarily, it's not prophetic, it's not telling you exactly what's going to happen in the future, but you can see when it moved down here and kind of made this, it makes these higher lows on the RSI, but price action continues to just dump. Okay, so there's potential here for us to move down, not so drastically here, right, on the RSI currently, but even just like a little bit, you know, maybe middle here, and we could see lower lows, you know, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we will break this 30. Okay, but if we do, you know, and we do get a fat drop off, we're probably going to see our RSI push really into a very, very, very oversold region. Okay, so areas of support if we do break 30, and we do see that daily close. And when I say break, that's kind of what I'm referring to, is actually like a daily candle close below 30. We may see a wick down below there, you know, like we saw over here, it wick down to 28, over here, wick down to like 29. Even on this day, I know in some exchanges, I think it was sub 30 as well. But
yeah, 29 or 28.
Yeah, this is on Bitstamp. It's only showing 30. But yeah, on some exchanges, I think it wicked a little bit lower. That said, you know, we need like the candle close below that to really have an indication that, okay, well, maybe this, we need to be concerned for our next levels. And the next levels, you know, 24,000 and then potentially 20,000. And below that, you know, we're looking right here, 17.5, the bottom of this little area of consolidation here.
What a buying opportunity
accumulation
if that happens.
Yeah, I really, you know, personally, I kind of hope it does. You know, I know that I'm probably not going to be anybody's favorite for saying that, but if we move down into this region, I'm of the belief that that is likely not going to happen ever again, right?
Yeah.
So if we can get it down here, that would be great. And if it goes lower than that, you know, I'll be accumulating for sure as we go lower. But you know, again, there's no guarantees. We could push down here, move back up, and you know, get a reset on RSI. Now, again, all of that said, on the monthly, even a correction to those levels, right, may not put us into a bearish range on higher time frames like the monthly chart. Okay, that may take us down to here, even down to here. We could see that pull back down to here or here before we continue on our bullish move. And this, if we were to pull back down to here and then come back and see this break of 618, that would likely correspond with our break here. Okay, don't look at the trajectory. It's showing April 2022. This isn't an indication of like a time frame that I'm expecting, you know, but it's possible, right? Like we see this kind of pattern over and over again. But back to the daily, just what we need to watch right now, and you know, clearly how Bitcoin moves affects the rest of the market. I don't care what anybody says about how effective of a project Bitcoin is, or if anything else is better, or Bitcoin is old news. I see all the things that people say. Bitcoin is moving the market. There's a systemic relationship between, you know, all of the other altcoins and what Bitcoin is doing, and then also what the stock market is doing, right? That tends to affect the price of Bitcoin as well. So it's worth considering. But just looking at this chart, confirmation where we can see what we need to be aware of right now. Okay, watching this ascending triangle, we want to see a break and close on a daily candle, preferably above, right here, 42. Basically making a higher high here, a break out of this triangle. What we may see if we break low is, it may come up here, break low, come up, retest this area, okay? Essentially the bottom end of this triangle before moving down again. And either finding support here at 30, maybe a little higher here at 33, okay? We may see that down to 33, up and then down further. And then if we break 30, again, we need to be watching, we'll probably see some support here at 27,000. Certainly we'll see support at 24,000, 25, just psychological, as well as we have a little structural support here. But, my bias for the time being on the daily here, and this has to do a lot with our ADX as well, is that we have increasing, and how I would read this indicator right here is this white line is an increasing trend that's actually pretty strong here up at 40, okay? And it is a bearish trend. So our negative directional index indicating, our downward moving down, okay? So we have a pretty strong bearish trend on the daily. We have a bearish divergence on our RSI and our price action. And we're filling out a pattern that is kind of known for breaking low, okay? Right here with this ascending triangle on a downward trend, right? So I think the potential here on the daily for us to make lower lows is more likely than, for us to break out. Now that's again, that's not to say that we can't break out and see some substantial volume. Who knows? Maybe Elon is going to tweet that he loves Bitcoin now and everybody and their brother just buys. And, maybe the US government comes out and says, hey, we're taking Bitcoin as payments for everything globally, right? That would just send it through the roof. None of your technicals matter. But just to speculate and what we have to go off of from a technical perspective for the time being is kind of what I've just covered there. So, those are, our levels that we need to watch out for, and, potentially what we might end up seeing in this coming week. But, just, manage your risk, watch your portfolios, trade your plan. And then potentially if you got some cash on hand, have it ready for some some decent buys.
Some nice buys, some life-changing long-term
possibly.
holds.
Sorry, I need my coffee. Yeah, so that's my take on the market for this coming week. What are you thinking? What are you seeing on your side?
Well, I mean, from a fundamental standpoint, you see everybody in the market saying, we're going to see 20, we're going to see 20, we're going to see 20. When in reality, when you talk about markets, and I don't care who you follow or who or nobody knows where it's going. And that's really kind of what the technical kind of takes the guessing game out of that. From a standpoint of my trading, I've always been a fundamental person, but long-term, if you think something's going to work, then you're going to hold it longer. If you're trading those shorter channels, then TA is for you. But I really hope that we get those lower prices so we can buy some more. Because like you said, I don't think there's going to be many more opportunities to buy something as groundbreaking as Bitcoin ever again in our generation. And I don't know if you saw the Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Square, and what else does he have? Twitter. He said that he thinks Bitcoin is the most demanding thing in his life, that thing that he needs to focus on more than anything in his entire life. Like Bitcoin is it. So you have a lot of these high net worth individuals, world leaders coming out and saying Bitcoin is a legit thing and it's gaining more traction day by day. And if you really don't believe in Bitcoin, watch some podcast with Robert Breedlove, the Rich Dad Poor Dad podcast. He's on there. It's a really good one. And just realize that maybe the system we have right now isn't the best with the dollar, and you'll go down the rabbit hole and surely become a believer.
Yeah. And, I know that our intention isn't to convince people that Bitcoin is the future. We do look at markets. We do look at equity. I mean, whatever, right? But over the past few years, I know you and I have kind of gone down this road together as well. Crypto, and from my perspective, is where we're going. And a couple of years ago, it would be easier to argue against that. Like, no, there's no way. What value does it have? All the questions you get from people that just don't really, understand it or care to understand it is what I've found. The majority of the time is that people just have no idea because they don't want to know and they just think it's a fad. But when you have so many eyes on it now, from nation states, from institutional investors to retail investors to things like Doge and your grandma's best friend asking you a Bush coin, whatever. It is reminiscent of 2017 and 2018, where everybody and their brother was kind of talking about it and just throwing money at it and everything else. So I think a pullback is likely,
right?
Correction. Whether or not this throws us into a full-on bear market, I don't think so. But we do have our own, certainly have our own opinions about where this is going to go. But at the end of the day, you either believe in it in some way, shape, or form, whether you understand it or not, or you don't, and you just kind of want to try to make money on it. And who knows where this will turn out in 10 years time, and whether or not the dollar will just collapse in on itself because the government wants to continue printing money. And we'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
But it can't hurt to start getting your piece of the pie now, as long as it's not you're not taking out a second mortgage against your home or doing anything crazy.
Right.
I tell people just dollar cost average, right? If you want to start investing in crypto at all, just throw it into Bitcoin, because you can trade Bitcoin as pairs against any other crypto as you become more fluent with how the space works and how to trade it or how to buy. But just once a week, just throw money into it if you can afford it. And then over time, you're very likely to see a pretty substantial return. I think you're looking since 2018, if you're at a dollar cost average, about 500-600% return, right? Not bad for paying zero attention to the space. If you were to just throw a little bit of money in it for a few years, that's not a bad return at all.
Right. All right. If you guys like this content, let us know. Subscribe, hit the bell notifications, give us a like, dislike. Let us know what you did like, didn't like about it. If you're interested in learning more about investing and talking a little bit more about cryptocurrency, stock markets, Elon Musk, anything, you can reach out to us at moneywarinvesting.com. We do one-on-one calls. You can learn technical analysis, or you can just freestyle talk to us about whatever you want. All right. Until next time. See ya.